Hello, welcome. So in this video, we're going to quickly talk about aquatic biomes. These are the water biomes and look at their characteristics. Remember, there are two types of aquatic biomes: freshwater biomes and marine biomes. Marine also means it has salt. So let's talk about the freshwater biomes first. Freshwater means it doesn't have salt or very little salt. And here the first example of freshwater biomes are called wetlands. Now, what are wetlands? These are lands which are wet throughout the year, from January to December, or in some part of the year there is water on the land. We call them wetlands. Okay, and there are different types of wetlands. Let's look at three examples. Number one, swamps. Number two, marshes. And number three, bogs. Now, I tried to look for the translation on Google. I'm not sure if these are correct. Okay, but swamps, in swamps we can see water on the land, and we can see some woody plains. Okay, a lot of woody plains in the water. These are called swamps when we see woody plains. Sometimes the plains are not too big, we call them shrubs, but they are still woody. Number two, marshes. Marshes also have water on the land, but we have a lot of grass, okay, on the land. It is dominated by grass. Okay, example of such grasses, we have reeds and rushes. Okay, these are the types of grasses we may see in a marsh. Next, bogs. Bogs are dominated, or we can see a lot of peat mosses. These are special mosses, a species of moss in bogs. Now, these species of moss has a lot of acid. When they die, their bodies will mix with the water and the soil, and the acid in their cells go into the soil. So bogs are usually acidic and have low nutrients. Here are some flora in bogs. Example, orchids and Venus flytrap. These can catch the insect. You can see a lot of them in bogs. Next example of freshwater biomes, let's look at lakes. What are lakes? So lakes are just a large body of water that does not flow. It doesn't flow or move in one direction, it just stands still. Now, in Thailand, we have many lakes. An example of one beautiful lake is the Chiolan Lake in Khao Sok National Park. It's a beautiful lake. You can see that. Some lakes have low nutrients, which we call as oligotrophic, okay, lakes. They have very little nutrients. And others have a lot of nutrients. We call them eutrophic. Now, they have nutrients because of many reasons. Sometimes it's because the land or the soil has a lot of nutrients, which moves into the water or into the lake. But sometimes it's because the fertilizer, okay, from farms are washed into the lakes, and this brings a lot of nutrients into the lake. Now, too much nutrient in the lake can become a problem because it can make algae grow faster. And when they grow faster, they can cover the top of the lake and stop the sunlight from going down to the water. This is called as eutrophication. It can be very bad. So let's talk about the life zones in lakes. So this is a picture showing the different zones or different areas in a lake. This area, the first area here, is called the littoral zone. This is the area that is closest to the shore, closest to the land. Okay, it is not deep, it is just shallow. And you can see that we have different types of aquatic plants that grow there, and different animals that go there and live there. This is their habitat. They live between the aquatic plants, and they also eat some of the small animals there in the littoral zone. Next, we have this area called the limnetic zone. Okay, and here there is a lot of sunlight. There is a lot of sunlight also in the littoral zone. So we can see the plants can use the sunlight for photosynthesis. There's also a lot of sunlight in the limnetic zone. The limnetic zone is deeper than the littoral zone. And here we can see different types of fishes, big fishes that live here. Some of them will go to the littoral zone to eat and then come back to the limnetic zone. Now, under the limnetic zone, we have the profundal zone. This area will receive very little light or no light at all. Okay, and we have some different types of invertebrates that live there, like these crayfish and crabs and other kind of organisms. Okay, and lastly, we have the benthic zone. The benthic zone is this area between the seafloor and the water. Okay, this line between there, we call it the benthic zone. And here we can see sediment and sand. And we can also see other organisms like snails and some worms, some sea worms that live there. These are detritivores. This means they can eat what? The dead organic matter from the top. Okay, when the fish die, their bodies will move down, and when they rot, okay, or they start to decay, these organisms will eat them and clean up the floor. Okay, they're very important. We can also see decomposers like bacteria and a lake. So we have phytoplanktons. Okay, these are plant-like organisms which can have photosynthesis. They can do photosynthesis, and example are algae. They live on top of the water, especially in the littoral zones, and they become food for zooplankton. Zoo means animal-like. It looks like animals which go and eat the phytoplanktons, and the zooplanktons will become food for bigger organisms like this basking shark. And they can also become food for other types of fish like the herring fish, which will become food for other bigger organisms and even humans. So this is what the freshwater biomes. There are two types. We've looked at wetlands and lakes, and I hope this is helpful. Thank you very much.